For those of you on the Underground Whisper Network, the Dorf announcement came out 6 days ago from this Monday as Julia Avila no longer in the fight. We have Raquel Pennington taking on Macy Chiasson, an ode and a thank you to the Netherlands' own Marcel Dorf, a guy who is a must-follow on Twitter, on Instagram, a friend of the show even. But now we look at this fight between Macy Chiasson, representing Fortis MMA, taking on Colorado's own former title challenger, Raquel Pennington. And if you look at it, both of these ladies chasing Juliana Pena's title. How insane is that? Congratulations to the Venezuelan Vixen. But when we look at this fight, again, originally Pennington taking on Chiasson, well, no, you have Julia Avila. And if you look at Julia Avila's skill set, how does that match up with Macy Chiasson's? Well, it doesn't at all.
Like oil and water.
It does not one bit, because for Avila, yeah, she can strike. Yeah, she can throw some nice kicks, but the big bread and butter portion of her game is when it hits the mat, whether she's taken down or she takes you down, she's going to do some work with her jiu-jitsu. So, unfortunate for Oklahoma's geologist that we don't get this fight, but now we look at this one where Macy Chiasson's been in this point before. She took on the Elbow Queen. It was in Copenhagen, which was a stone's throw from Malmo. And if you want to have fun on a Saturday night, you want to toss in some of these things that I'm talking about, Lena Landsberg is from Malmo. Copenhagen's across the road. Throw the rock, hit the border, and there you go. Boom, Bob's your uncle. And so it was a hometown fight for Lena Landsberg. Macy Chiasson had fought away from the States in the past. She fought in Canada. She took on Sarah Morris. She won that fight. So who's to say that when you go to Europe, you're not going to win? Well, Lena Landsberg, she was the Elbow Queen. She won that fight. Now, Matt, since then, so many question marks around Chiasson, around her cardio, around her takedown defense, around the fact that she can kind of get controlled against the cage. And she's really kind of thrown those two things out the window in those last two wins. So if you look at it, she beat Shanna Young, who was another short notice fighter. She beats Marion Renault. She didn't just beat Marion Renault. And I know Marion over 40, but man, Macy Chiasson looked really good in that fight.
She did, and she is starting to put it all together. At least it feels like that looking in from the outside. Because with Chiasson, you knew how good she was on The Ultimate Fighter. Of course, she won it, but she faced a fairly good level of competition on there too. Like, that was a good season. Heavy hitters. I don't know if you're ever watching, but Macy did prove that, okay, I might not be a featherweight because it didn't feel like anybody who was on that season actually stayed at the featherweight division, but when I do move down to 135, I can make a real difference to the division, and it hasn't always been great, like you said. There are some weaknesses in her game, but at least as of late, although the level of competition might not be all that high, she has seemed to start to iron out some of those wrinkles. Against Shanna Young, she beat the brakes off her, and that's really not even worth mentioning, but against Marion Renault, she was forced to defensive takedowns. She was forced to at least create separation and damage with her own shots, and I thought she did a phenomenal job with that. This is why I think this is one of the most intriguing fights on the card. I think this is as one-way traffic of a fight as there is on this card. I think Raquel Pennington, her game plan has got to be, make this fight boring. Hold Macy up against the cage. If I get a takedown, use the takedown. If not, it's not the end of the world. Just put out the fire that Macy's striking causes. But if Macy can just create a little bit of separation and force Raquel Pennington to strike with her in the middle of the cage, it's going to look awful. Like, she's going to be able to hit her, tee off on her in whichever way she wants to, and she might even be able to get the TKO.
This is the craziest part about this. Macy Chiasson beat Pannie Kianzad, wins the Ultimate Fighter. Raquel Pennington took on Pannie Kianzad her last time out, and I put myself in my own shoes and went, okay, I remember how I felt before that fight. I thought Pannie Kianzad was going to win. I thought she was going to light her up from the outside. And what happened? Raquel Pennington fought a Raquel Pennington fight.
She don't play those games.
She did the same thing against Irene Aldana, even though, again, it was a split decision, so you could go either way with that. And then the other win that she has peppered in since her resurgence of 2019 to now is Marion Renault. The only loss out of those 4 fights is to Holly Holm.
And that was a close fight.
That was a close fight. So I look at this, I look at all my notes, Matt, and again, this is the weirdest part of it. Macy Chiasson was supposed to fight this past summer against Aspen Ladd. We make a video for it. Macy Chiasson hurts her foot. She's out of the fight. They remake the fight for, what was it, October? She's supposed to fight Aspen Ladd again. All of a sudden, I pick up an accent there for 2 seconds. She's supposed to fight Aspen Ladd. We'll go East Coast Canadian back to it. And unfortunately, Aspen Ladd misses weight.
Yeah.
So, Macy doesn't accept the fight. I'm cool with that. You don't want to fight somebody that shows up and can't make the weight, that's fine. I'm not going to discredit it. Now, obviously, you're going from a big fight against Aspen Ladd to the prelims here, but it's still a big fight against a former title challenger, but it's still on very short notice. What happens to Aspen Ladd? She gets main event. She loses, but she gets main event. So, Matt, we've seen this before. Macy's fought fighters like this before. Raquel's fought plenty of fighters like this before. You want to see a tough strength of schedule, you bring up the Tapology or the Sherdog page for Raquel Pennington. You go over the names there. She fought Jessica Andrade years ago. So when I look at the odds for this one, Matt, Pennington open to minus 300 favorite. She's minus 210 right now. For Chiasson, open to plus 50? She's plus 160 right now. We look at the Tapology votes. Surprise us, they already do. I'm going to set the over-under at 75% Pennington. What would you say?
Again, I'm not trying to be a hipster, but I think this is going to be one of the weird ones where the underdog's the favorite, no?
696 total votes, 62% Pennington, 91% by decision. For the 38% that I have Chiasson, 82% by decision. So the fans are saying decision, and I'm saying decision Pennington. It's going to be another one of those ones where she pushes the pace, pushes the fight up against the cage, and really negates the 4-inch height and 5-inch reach advantage of Chiasson in this one.
I definitely think Pennington could do that. And even in the loss to Holly Holm, she did demonstrate those skills. She held Holm up against the cage. Now, the weird thing about Holm is that if you want to make it boring, she's got like the Uno reverse card where Holly Holm's like ultimate game plan is make the fight as boring as possible. Whoever would have thought. But Holm was able to sort of out-strength and out-position her way in some of those clinch exchanges. And I don't think Macy's going to be able to do that. I do agree with you. I think we're going to see a lot of forward pressure from Pennington. Now, what I will say though is that forward pressure is going to be met by strikes at some point. Macy is also one of the few true TKO threats in this division. So Raquel, in all likelihood, could get knocked out round 1, 2, or 3. Like, it's a real danger in this matchup, but I do like Pennington's ability to slow this fight down.
Macy Chiasson with those long-range weapons that pop at the end of her shot. You really like to see that. Maybe toss some kicks in there. This kick-heavy episode.
As a viewer, I would really like Macy to win just because I think it would probably result in a more exciting fight. But this is what I will say, just sort of the last point, and this speaks more to the division as a whole. This might not be as important as a fight as the Aspen Ladd fight would have been for Chiasson, but it kind of still is because of what happened over the weekend. The division's wide open again, and anybody feels like they're 1 or 2 fights away from the title shot. I know Amanda's probably going to get a rematch. I know that's going to cause a bit of a logjam. But other than Amanda being next in line for Pena, it is wide open after that because Pena herself hasn't fought a lot of those top contenders. So the winner of this fight really does put themselves in a great position to maybe not fight for the title next, but maybe fight title eliminator, maybe 2 more.
Big time fight coming up at bantamweight this weekend. Both of us going with Raquel Pennington to get the win on short notice for her opponent. Fortis MMA's Macy Chiasson. You let us know down below in the comments section who you have in this fight. You let us know about the rest of this card. It's a big time banger, and in the main event, you have Derek Lewis taking on Chris Daukaus. You're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.